Hey guys, welcome to the Real Estate Jam podcast. I'm JD. Today we have a pretty interesting episode for you. This is going to be really good for anybody who's kind of playing with the idea of whether or not they want to join a mastermind or if they want to pay for any type of education. Melissa, Annabel, and I kind of discuss what our thoughts are on the mastermind and how we made the decision to go or not go to it. It's a pretty informative episode, especially if you're at that point where you're looking to maybe bring your real estate education to the next level. If you like it, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast and share it with some of your friends who might be going through the similar things.
They don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD, Annabel, and Melissa.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again for listening to us today. We've got a really exciting topic, not just because it's something we're really passionate about, but it's actually where our story begins. So we're excited to share it with you. Today we'll be talking about masterminds. So what exactly are they? What are the different levels? A mastermind is a group really that offers a combination of brainstorming, education, peer accountability, and also support. Really, it can be for business, professional goals, or both mixed together. And then really it challenges us to set really good goals and to meet the goals we set. So JD, Melissa, you care to tell us a little bit about your first experiences with masterminds and kind of where you are now?
Yeah, so my first mastermind, it didn't start out as a mastermind. I didn't know what a mastermind was, but I knew that I needed other people that were like-minded, that I could discuss real estate. And when I first started to get into the whole real estate investing thing, I wanted to find other people that could help me out with that. So I was on Bigger Pockets, which gives a lot of great free information. And from Bigger Pockets, I found a couple of guys that were in my local area, and we decided to go to Buffalo Wild Wings to grab a couple drinks and talk about real estate. And that's really where it just started. It was just me and three other guys talking about what we were doing, how we were doing it. There was a couple guys who had done a few deals, and then I hadn't done any deals at that point. And nobody was a super successful real estate investor. And we really just kind of got to know each other and talked about what was going on. What was your first one, Melissa?
Same. I got connected with Bigger Pockets too, and then got involved with some local meetups in Texas and kind of launched from there as well.
Okay. And that was when you started real estate investing, or was that when you were an agent or?
That was definitely just when I started investing. Prior to that, as an agent, we just did like monthly meetups at lunch for restaurants and then networked that way.
Right. I guess like the Chamber of Commerce and that kind of stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So I think like the biggest thing is that there isn't a specific definition of what is a mastermind. It's just a group of people who get together and try to work on each other's problems and that kind of stuff. And there's definitely different levels, from the very inexperienced novice, just a couple of people getting together, all the way up into the hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for that type of mentorship. And with each increase in price, the barrier to entry for each of these goes up. So it's, just because it's an expensive mastermind doesn't mean that it's going to be high quality, but every high quality mastermind has a barrier to entry that keeps a lot of less serious investors out. I've been in a $7 online mastermind, and it was literally the worst thing that I've ever been a part of. And I think when you're starting out, you don't have to pay for it. It doesn't have to be something. But as you go up in your skill set, you're going to have harder and harder problems, and the type of people that you want to be like are not the type of people who have tons of free time to just give it away. So I think that's where some of the price comes in, and I also think that's where a lot of people don't like them, or don't understand the benefit that they can give you.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think when you start out, you're fine with doing, local ones. And then there's a lot of information that you can get organically, online. But then when you want to level up your business and scale your business, I think it's really imperative that you get involved in a mastermind. And then as your business grows and as you scale it, then you're going to have to go through different masterminds that work for that level of where you are in your business. So, one specific mastermind is not going to see you through your whole professional business, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's because they're designed for different levels. The kind of real estate problems that we're running into now are way different than the real estate problems we were running into 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we were trying to figure out, what is escrow? How do you close how do you close a property? What's a title company? Those kind of questions. Those are not questions that I'm asking. They evolve. The questions that you have evolve based off of the size of your business, or how long you've been doing stuff. And the bigger your business, or the more knowledge you have, the bigger your problems. And the start out groups are there to teach you about real estate definitions and how to do calculations, how to analyze properties. As you get higher, you don't need that information because that's already stored in there. And I think you start to get bigger questions. How do you run a business? How do you hire employees? What kind of profiles should these employees have? What type of employee is suited best towards what position in your company? And the ones that the masterminds that are teaching you how to calculate cap rate probably aren't going to be able to teach you how to hire your 13th employee. So,
right.
I don't know. Well, do you guys think we should talk about, some of the different masterminds that we've been in, and really, we can talk about how we met. So the benefit of a mastermind, I think it's important to talk about too. I don't recommend somebody who's just starting out go pay $100,000 for a mastermind. That would just be crazy, because you're not going to be able to receive the value out of that mastermind if you're not. It's like trying to take a calculus class when you can't even do addition and subtraction. It just doesn't make sense. And you could go sit there, be in the same room, be around some fancy people, but at the end of the day, none of that stuff that they're going to be discussing will apply directly to your business. So you kind of got to keep your leveling up based off of where you're at, like you had said earlier, Melissa. So after we set up the in-person mastermind, that group, me and Annabel had to PCS away from, so change our duty location for the military. And I couldn't be a part of that group anymore. And based off of my work schedule at my new place, I wasn't able to go to the monthly meetups that were already established. So I started looking for online resources. And that's where I found Jordan Stanley Payne and the Kingdom and that whole group. And that was just kind of just starting out at that time. And so I started doing the same mastermind type stuff, but it was a cheaper price, or cheap compared to the $100,000 one. But it was a monthly subscription that I paid so that I could be a part of the group and talk to like-minded people and see what other people were doing, and have them hold me accountable for the tasks that I was doing. And I think while we're there, they started doing in-person meetups a couple of times a year. And really that's where we met Melissa. How did you find out about the Kingdom, Melissa?
The same. We traveled a lot, and so I was looking for something where I could, when I wasn't in town, I could still be with an accountability group and people who were going on the same journey as I was as well. And so I started looking around on Facebook for real estate groups investors groups to join, be a part of. And I found Jordan Stanley Payne through multifamily mafia, and started listening to his podcast on that, and then found out through him that they were having an in-person mastermind group in Arizona in November. This was last year. And so even though I didn't know anybody and I had really not been part of the kingdom at that point, I decided that I would go, and I talked to Jordan and told him about where my business was, but where I wanted it to go. And, he invited me out to be part of it, even though I wasn't a member of the kingdom. And that was a huge transformation for me and my business and where I was going. And that's where I met JD and Annabel.
Yeah, that was the idea for us to go was that one, we wanted to be around some of these people that we'd been talking to and networking with, and two, I had three goals. I wanted to take away one valuable piece of information. I wanted to make one meaningful connection, and I wanted to have Annabel see that there were other people doing the things that I'd been talking about. She wasn't fully on board. That's not true. Annabelle's always been super supportive, but she didn't have an active part in our business until she got there and could see these things. And I think sometimes, especially with spouses and significant others, that they don't always hear the same message through your mouth as they do somebody else's. So I think that was super important. So we got there our very first day and met Melissa. Melissa, how did that meeting go?
It went great. We met on the van going from the hotel to the mansion that we all met in. And then we instantly connected, and we were all, we knew right away that we all were going on the same journey together, where we wanted to be and what we wanted to do to provide for our family, and the financial freedom picture that we had for ourselves was very similar.
Yeah. Annabelle.
Yeah. So the same thing. I remember, like, at first it's a little uneasy because you're not sure, who you're going to meet and who is your people. And like, sometimes it can be intimidating too, because everybody's at a different level. There are people who have done 10, 15, 20, hundreds of deals. And then there are people who haven't done their first deal yet. So you kind of, at first you're not sure, but then when you get there and you see, like, we're all just people on a similar journey with very similar goals, I think that kind of helps get everybody's guard down a little bit. And then we met Melissa that first day, and I think we knew
first day when I saved Melissa's life.
Oh my gosh, don't bring it up. Rude. Only Melissa gets to tell that story if Melissa wants.
So, well, we do have to tell it now that JD brought it up. So I was super nervous just because I didn't know anybody. And like Annabelle said, I mean, I had no idea. I felt like I had zero knowledge going into it, and it was
But on a side note, I just want to jump in. When we actually started figuring it out and knowing, you had way more knowledge than a lot of the other people there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Right. So, we were told we were supposed to dress up that night. So I had a dress on and heels, and, I'm in the back of the van with Annabelle, and I'm trying to get out, and I, of course, get my high heel caught in the seat belt. So I fall out in front of everybody that's there to greet us at this mansion. I fall flat out on my face. I scrape both my knees, elbows, hands, everything. And so JD was like super apologetic because he didn't catch me as I was falling.
I tried to. There was too many people in the way. I saw it going in slow motion.
It was super embarrassing.
But it was not a big deal. Everybody falls off.
Yeah, it was not a big deal.
And I was there to pick you up and dust you off.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did. And they made me feel really good because they were there, and it made me not feel so humiliated by what had just happened.
But it was a good start, though.
It was great. It was good. Good memory.
And then I think the biggest thing that I saw there was, and not to say like JD wasn't communicating similar things, but to actually see all these different people, all different ages, all different levels in their real estate experience and their real estate knowledge come together.
Yeah.
All different, from all different parts of the world, the country, from all different upbringings. It really was just amazing to see that anybody could do it. And they were doing it in different markets. You know, there are different ways to do it. Some people were doing specifically only short-term vacation rentals. Other people, you know, were doing huge multifamily apartment complexes. So it just really, to see that variety and to see that anybody could do it, and we have something to offer a lot of people and we can learn from so many people, was really inspiring.
Yeah, that's one of the things too. And when you're looking around, you would have never guessed it by just looking at the people there, but there was multiple multimillionaires in that room, and that's something that I would have never been experienced or never been exposed to or experienced before, being around those type of people, not that I knew of anyway. And in that environment, everybody's completely open with income sources. That's what we're there for, to learn and network with these people, and to see somebody who's already in, because a lot of times we judge our success based off of other people, and really it's where they have started this race, so before us, right? And so to see these people who are just a couple of years ahead of us, maybe in the real estate game, and they were already, you know, multimillionaires, putting into action the steps that we were at that point learning and starting to put into action. It was nice to see. It's kind of like, if he can do it and he can do it and he can do it, and oh, she can do it too, well, then there's no reason that the three of us, you know, brilliant minds that we have, couldn't do it as well. So that was super nice. And I think that's one of the best things, because we saw real people. They're not just faces on the internet anymore, that are really doing it. I think that was helpful for Annabel too.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys want to share a little bit about kind of where you are now and how you choose a mastermind now?
Yeah. Well, first, I'd just like to interject. From us meeting there, we went on to form a partnership. And then within a couple months, we had a 10-unit apartment complex that we're all partners on. So we took away from that. We learned a lot about getting our business off the ground, for sure, and forming partnerships and how important they are. And so then we've all gone on some other masterminds, separate and then as well together. So I'll let JD talk about that.
Yeah, well, we just realized, you know, that there's some, so I'm still a part of the kingdom, and I still interact on theirs, but the kingdom was not as beneficial of a platform for the business side of it. Not that it's not, it is, because they do a lot of business stuff too. But I was looking for information on how to grow a bigger company, and not a lot of the people in the kingdom have employees and that kind of stuff. So I was kind of looking for more business approach in the business side. So I started looking at some of the other real estate mastermind groups, and I found a couple that we looked at. We went to check out Flip Hacking Live with Bill Allen, and that was an awesome event, by the way. And they provided a opportunity for their mastermind and coaching program. And then with Don Costa, we found the Inner Circle Elite, the ICE group. And that's the one that's resonated the most with me right now, because there's a lot of people in that group who own separate businesses that are part of the real estate space, that have a lot of outside experience. And so that's kind of where we're at now. I just got back from San Antonio a couple weeks ago. We went to the first ever ICE event, and had a really great time. It's definitely, everybody in there was super high level, and everyone could provide value to each other. And it's funny too, because now when we're getting into some of these higher level entrepreneurial rooms, to see that these guys doing super big things are still struggling with the same problems. You know, one of the most asked questions was, how do you hire? How do you train? Those are things that we're dealing with in our business right now. So it's nice to see that other people were experiencing what we're experiencing, and that there was still other people in that room who'd already cracked the code on that. And a lot of the takeaways, you know, from that group helped us, with hiring our guys in Panama City and looking at some of the way other people do it.
Helped us really get a strong foothold on setting up our call center and who we wanted to be part of that, and what those people needed to look like within our business to get us to that next level of where we wanted to be. And Elite and Don have really helped us with that, very much so. And to be able to have that support system 24/7, where if you're going through something, there's somebody in that group that can help you, like today, if there was something we needed to talk to with somebody about to help us push on, there would be somebody there that could do that.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Absolutely. I think that's a perfect transition too. Can you guys just elaborate a little bit on the value of these mastermind groups to provide that networking and then that accountability that really we all need, regardless of which level we're at, if we're trying to get better? Can you touch a little bit on that networking and accountability side?
I can, just for regarding Don, Costa, we really met at the Kingdom event
that's right,
last November. And I really like Don because I was having problems with cash flowing on my buy and holds. And, he was the first person who told me, this is what you got to do. You're doing it wrong. And this is what you got to do to make it work. And, a lot of people are afraid to tell you those kind of things because then they're afraid you're not going to stay part of those connections, those networking. But if you're serious about where you want to be and where you want your end game to be, I embrace that constructive criticism, because that helped me turn. I had 7 at that point that were not cash flowing, and he helped me turn those all around within a couple months.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Well, one, those kind of guys don't have time to mess around, and I think that with that level of people, everybody understands that it's not personal, and that we're there to get better, just like they're there to get better. So they kind of have free reign. And I think it's a lot different, because we work in these organizations where, we're the boss, or you're around people who can't tell you the truth for whatever reason, and that's not what it is. They don't have a dog in the fight. There's, if no matter what happens with our business, that's not going to affect Don Costa's house flipping business. That's our business. So he's able to speak objectively, plus he has the experience and he's gone through a lot of that stuff before. And we know that we're going to have a level of accountability that probably won't happen, with just your mom or your dad or your brothers or sisters, people who care about your feelings and have a vested interest in you. Sometimes they don't always give the best feedback. Our number one thing that we get from these masterminds that's super important to mention is the people that we meet. We've been partners with Melissa, for almost a year now. We met her a year ago. Is it a year ago or is it 2 years ago now?
A year. I know.
Just a year. I don't know. It's a long time. It's so long.
Oh, it feels like forever.
So long. But seriously, meeting other people going in the same direction, either a little bit ahead or a little bit behind you, so you can reach up for some help for the people that are ahead of you and reach back to pull along some of the people that are behind you. Being able to give and receive in these groups is super important. The number one thing for me, and I think probably for Annabel too, and I don't know about you, Melissa, but I assume that meeting us was the greatest thing that ever happened.
Yeah, of course.
So it's the people and fostering those relationships, I think are something, or is something that you really, really have to look at when you're doing this.
Yeah, I'm gonna tag on to what JD and Annabelle are talking about, because that was huge, not only for us meeting in the Kingdom, but in the other masterminds that we've gone to. JD and Annabelle weren't able to go, but I went to Chris Rude's in October, and I've met some great people that have helped us in our business here in Panama City. And then at Flip Hacking Live, we met some people that are in our market that have connected us to find properties, connected us to list for us as agents, and agree that you get so much out of them but the big takeaway is the people you meet, the relationships you build, and that we all can help each other.
There's a lot of good things that come from all these networking events, and a lot of times it's hard to find the higher level people in your market doing the things that you want to do. So it's important to branch out, because one, people sometimes have a scarcity mindset in the market that you're in. So if you're working right next door to another real estate company, they don't necessarily want to give you all the information, and you don't necessarily want to give them all the information. I'm okay with giving all the information, but some people aren't. And so one of the benefits of going to these mastermind events that are away from your home market is you're meeting all kinds of people from all over the country. And I think that it's super important, so much so that we, Annabel and I, try to hit one, and I think, Melissa, you do too, at least once a quarter, we want to be going to one of these type of events or doing that. Not to mention, all month long, we're trying to go to our RIAs, we're trying to go to our women's business lunch, our breakfast, and all that kind of stuff, because I guess really, it's all about the networking, and that's the most important part. That's the best thing that you get, and it allows you to help other people too. So really, we say that, that this podcast was about the masterminds, but I think the focus, that we want everyone to take away is that the masterminds are just a vehicle to put you in connection with these other people that are doing things that you're doing. And the networking piece of it is really the important part. It doesn't matter if you go to a mastermind if there's nobody there.
All right, so really, guys, I think wrapping up, that's a perfect point to make. But what advice might you give yourself 5 years ago about finding a mastermind when there's so much information and sometimes it can be a little overwhelming?
Well, I think that the advice that I would give myself, or anybody who is at that level, starting out and trying to just feel out like what information they need to learn, is that you don't have to jump into some big expensive mastermind, that there's plenty of local events that you can hit, and that we want to make sure that you're spending your time in the right places. And then as soon as you have that base level knowledge, then start interacting with these other people. And you don't have to jump from zero to the biggest masterminds in the country. That's not what we're looking for. But that it's important to surround yourself with the right kind of people that see things maybe a little bit ahead of you, a little bit behind you, so that you can learn and grow at a faster rate than somebody who is doing it all on their own. I guess really the masterminds, what they do is hack the amount of time, effort, energy, problems that you're going to have, money that you're going to have in these real estate entrepreneurial type things, right? Somebody else has already done it. You need to get in there to learn, grow, all that kind of stuff.
And I would just follow up with what JD's saying. It's like it's like a staircase. It's like, going from first to 12th grade. Where you're at first grade is not where you're at 12th grade. So it's a constant evolving thing that you'll be constantly looking for a mastermind that's going to help you where you are at that time in your business. It's not a stagnant where you stay with the same thing. It's going to be an evolving process.
Evolving process where the same problems you had before are not the same problems you have today. And I guess I would say, once somebody starts doing something, they have something to talk about. They have something to get help on. I think that's really important too. So don't go blow $20,000 on a mastermind if you've never done a deal before, right? You want to use that deal to learn and work through the problems, and then get help from people who are actually doing it. So one, don't jump off the deep end right away if you don't know what you're talking about and you don't know what anything is. Learn. You got to have a base level of knowledge, which that takes work, and nobody likes to do work. But if you can learn first, then find a small group, or you're just your buddies that you can get around and start talking to. And once you're at that level, you'll kind of know when you're coming up with questions and problems that room that you're in can't answer or solve for you, or you're the smartest person in that room, it's time to go to another room, right? And that's kind of what you got to do, is just move from room to room, helping people along the way and receiving help along the way. So.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks so much for sharing. We really appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thanks for dragging me to that mastermind. change the trajectory of our life and our business, certainly. And don't forget to like us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and then follow our journey. Thanks so much.
And also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and give us a rating, a good one, hopefully.
Perfect. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you do.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and updates, check out our website, shorefrontrestorations.com, or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Shorefront Restorations. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at info@shorefrontrestorations.com. See you next episode.